In this tutorial, you'll learn how to make the famous jigsaw transition using the free version of DaVinci Resolve. This effect is primarily used in video game edits, but as you can see, you can apply it to any of your videos. To perform the jigsaw transition, we need two different video clips. The first thing we're going to do is find a suitable frame from the second clip. To do this, simply move the playback head through the clip to find the exact frame we will freeze for the jigsaw transition. This frame is perfect, right before the animation of the hand with the knife appears. Next, we will export this frame as a still image. Go to the top bar and click on File, then click on Export and select Current Frame as Image. Rename it and make sure to save it as a PNG or TIFF so we don't lose image quality. Then press the Enter key. Perfect. We already have this frame from the video as an image. We'll use it later in the tutorial. Next, click on the clip and press the Ctrl-B keyboard shortcut to cut it. Delete the beginning part of the clip that we won't use. Great. We have now selected the part we want to use from the second clip. Now, let's focus on the first clip. We need to find the exact moment we want the first clip to end, right after shooting the opponent. At that moment, we can freeze the video and make the jigsaw transition. Place the playback head right at the moment we want the first clip to end, and right-click on the clip. Select the option Change Clip Speed. In this menu, check the Freeze Frame box and click on Change. And finally, fill the empty gap with the frame we have frozen. Done. That's how easy it is. Now, we place the playback head right at this point where the first video clip pauses. Alright, next we will create a fusion composition to begin making the effect. We go to the media pool and right-click in the empty area. We select the option New Fusion Composition. Click on Create. Perfect, we have it now. We drag the fusion composition onto the timeline and place it above the other clips. By default, the fusion composition lasts 5 seconds. What I recommend is to click on this clip and drag it until the end of the fusion composition. Then, fill the gap by extending the duration of the frozen clip. We have now finished preparing and setting everything up for the effect. It's time to start making the jigsaw effect. We place the playback head over the fusion composition and open the Fusion module of DaVinci Resolve. Don't worry, although we use Fusion, if you follow the steps one by one, you will see that it's not complicated. The first thing we're going to do is go to the media pool. We press the Ctrl-I keys and import the still image that we exported at the beginning of the tutorial. Perfect. We drag this image into the workspace, and you will see that a node called Media In 1 is created. The Media In 1 node contains the still image. We connect the Media In node with the Media Out output node. To work more comfortably when creating the masks, we will activate the single viewer mode by clicking on this icon. This will allow us to see the image larger. To create the jigsaw effect, I recommend slightly blurring the main image. This will help us better see the masks we're going to create. Click on the Media In node and add a blur node. We go to the inspector menu and increase the size of the blur a bit, about 15. Once this is done, we can start creating the masks for the jigsaw transition. The first thing we will do is copy the node with the still image, that is, the Media In 1 node, and press Ctrl-C to copy it. Then, click in the workspace to deselect the Media In 1 node. Press the Ctrl-V keyboard shortcut to paste the node. Perfect! Now, click on the output of this new node and connect it with the output of the blur node. To create a mask in the Fusion module, we need to select the node where we want to make the mask and click on the polygon icon. It's that simple. If we left-click on the viewer, we can now create a mask in any shape we want. But it's going to be difficult to make the masks accurately with the blur activated. So we select our polygon node and temporarily deactivate the blur until we finish making the masks. Perfect. Now we need to copy and paste those 3 nodes for each part that we're going to cut out. It's very simple. I'm going to make one mask for the floor, one for the left wall, for the central door, one for the ceiling, for the right wall, and another mask just for this small door. Therefore, I need to make 6 copies. Let's make all the copies. Perfect. Once we have our copies, we need to connect them. The easiest way to do this is to select the group of nodes, and if we hold down the Shift key and release it when we see the blue line, it will automatically connect. Now, we simply have to repeat the process with the rest. Once this is done, we will start renaming our merge nodes using the F2 keyboard shortcut. Name each node for the part you're going to select. Renaming them will make it much easier to organize. After naming all the nodes, select all these nodes except for the floor. Then disable them so that they don't overlap the mask on the floor node. Once we are done masking the floor, we'll enable the left wall and mask it out. Then we will enable the central door and keep repeating this process one by one. We can start trimming parts of the image. With the polygon node selected, left-click on the viewer to create the first point of the mask, and place the second point to make a straight line. If you need to create a curve, the simple way to do this is by placing a point at the beginning and another at the end. Just click on this point and the Bezier handle will appear. You can move it and adjust it to create the curve and adapt the shape. And we do the same with this other one. Click on it and adjust it to draw the curve. Now we continue creating points and following the edge of the floor in our video. The more precise you are in creating the mask and selecting the different parts of the image, the better. Just keep drawing the mask along the edge of the part you wish to select. To complete the mask and select the entire floor of the image, simply connect the last point with the first point we created. It's that easy. Now, if we reactivate the polygon node, we can see that we have indeed selected the floor with the mask. Our selection appears focused and everything else blurred. This way, we can check that the mask is correctly applied. We have now cut out the floor. Now we need to do the same with the different parts of the image. The process is exactly the same. Just select the different polygon nodes and then create a mask for each different part, one by one. Well, I have almost all the masks created. You might wonder why I selected this small door instead of the entire wall. The reason is that I want to animate it separately. I want the wall to appear first and then add the door separately. But we have a problem. If I move the door a bit, you'll see that behind the door, there's another door in the wall. We need to remove the door from the wall so that one door does not get added over another door. There are a couple of ways to do it, and one of them is using the cloning effect in DaVinci Resolve. First, let's deactivate this door for a moment. What I'm going to show you next is useful for removing any element from the video. For example, if you want to remove icons or logos from the video game, you can also do it with this method. Click on the Media In node where you want to remove the object. In my case, it's this one. Simply select it, press the Shift-Space keyboard shortcut to open the tool finder, and search for the effect Paint. Make sure that you are on frame 0. Then we go to the Inspector menu and click on the icon Clone. We scroll down a bit and change the stroke duration to match the full length of your clip. In my case, it's 300 frames. Here, you can see the total frames of the fusion composition. Put a number equal to or greater. Now we go to the viewer and press and hold the Control key. Then left-click and drag to adjust the size of the brush. And by pressing the Alt key and left-clicking, we can set a cloning point. Once we've set the cloning point, if we left-click and draw, we will clone the part we've selected. Once done, we set another point and clone again, and keep repeating this process until the door is completely erased. Alright, we've finished cloning, and as you can see, it has turned out quite well. But it's a time-consuming process, so I'm going to teach you another, easier method. I recommend doing it this way. This time, to remove the door or any other element from our image, we will use the free web application Adobe Firefly. In this case, we can select the door and remove it automatically, saving us all the cloning work in DaVinci Resolve. We go to the Adobe Firefly website and click on Get Firefly Free. We scroll down a bit until we see the Generative Fill feature. Click to open it. Click on Upload Image. On the left side, we will see an option called Remove. Click on it and start drawing around the object until it's completely erased. Once this is done, click the Remove button and wait a few seconds. And that's it. It's that easy to remove the door, and the result is much better than doing it manually in DaVinci Resolve. Now, simply click on the Download button to save the image. Once downloaded, we import it into the Fusion node panel. Alright, now we simply replace the old node with the new node with the image we just made in Adobe Firefly. We connect it to the right wall node. And we also connect it to the polygon node where we previously made the mask for the right wall. And that's it. We would now have the right wall without the door. Next, we reset the position of the door mask. Well, I've finished creating all the masks for each part of the image. It's time to animate the jigsaw effect. We will start with the floor mask. Click on the floor node and move our playback head to frame 0. Next, we go to the inspector window and add a keyframe for the X and Y displacement. We lower the Y value until it's out of the viewer. Then we move the playback head a few frames forward, for example, to frame 30. If you want the animation to be slower, choose a further frame. Perfect. Now we simply change the Y value to 0.5 to create the second keyframe. Having made these two keyframes, we will have an animation of the floor moving from bottom to top. Let's see how it turned out. We can see that it's a very simple animation, but don't worry, now we're going to improve it. First, we're going to add a bounce effect. Click on the floor node, and click on this small arrow to move to the last keyframe of the animation we've created. In my case, it's frame 30. Now we move forward 10 frames to frame 40, and add another keyframe. And to achieve the bounce effect, we go back 5 frames from the current frame. If we are now at frame 40, we need to go to frame 35. Perfect. In this frame, we slightly decrease the Y value. This will make the floor rise, bounce a bit, and then return to its original place. Second, we're going to further improve the animation by adding a speed ramp. We open the Splines tab by clicking on the icon. We activate the box for the floor and click on the icon Fit to View. We will see this graph with a purple line, which represents the keyframe animation we've created. Now we will add the speed ramp to make the animation smoother. Click and select all the keyframes. With all the keyframes selected, press the S key on the keyboard. This way, it will create a speed ramp on all of them. We can adjust the curves to configure the speed of the animation to your liking. The default settings usually work well. Next, we select the middle keyframe and press F to flatten this part of the animation. Let's play the video to see how it turned out. Alright, now I'll show you how to continue with the following animations. First, we need to go to the keyframe where the previous animation ends before the bounce, which in this case is frame 30. Click on the left wall node and add a keyframe for XY displacement. Change the X value until it disappears from the frame. If you need more time to create the animation, you can move this yellow vertical line. This time, we move forward 15 frames and change the X value to 0.5. And we add the bounce effect exactly as in the previous animation. Move forward 10 frames, add a keyframe, then go back 5 frames and slightly decrease the value to around 0.48. Finally, we open the Splines tab, and the only thing left is to create the speed ramps, as we did previously. Now if we play the video, we will have these two masks animated. We just need to animate the rest of the parts. It's not complicated. Just repeat the same process with the rest of the masks. Perfect. We have almost finished with the effect. We just have a few last steps to complete our jigsaw transition. Since we want to use this effect as a transition, we need to make the background transparent so that we can see the other video clip. Currently, we have the same image but blurred. To make the background transparent, we will do the following. Select the Media In 1 and Blur 1 nodes and delete them. Then we drag the background node to this position and connect its output to the first node of the masks. By default, the background node is black, but we need it to be transparent. To achieve this, go to the inspector window and lower the alpha to 0, and we would have the transparent background. And to finish making the effect, just one secret ingredient is missing: add motion blur. It's very easy, and you can also do it in the free version of DaVinci Resolve. We need to add 2 new nodes to the node where we made the last mask. In my case, the ceiling. Click on it, press Shift Space, and search for the effect Optical Flow. Add the effect. Now select the Optical Flow node and search for the effect Vector Motion Blur, right here. And we will have the motion blur applied. We can increase or decrease the blur intensity on this bar here. We return to the editing module, and if our animation lasts less time than the Fusion composite clip, we will reduce the duration of these 2 clips right at the frame where the animation ends. And now we would have the Jigsaw transition completely finished. As you can see, it has turned out quite well. If you want to learn more effects in DaVinci Resolve, here's this tutorial with different effects that you can use in your edits. See you in the next video.